if we were the same age, I don't believe he would have had 4 championships.
Everyone knows LeBron James, but not everyone loves him. In fact, a lot of people have been hating on the king for the last 2 decades, but he was never afraid to fight back. These are the 6 opponents that tested LeBron's patience the most. Let's start with one of Bron's biggest rivals, Paul Pierce.
You know, my era's out the league. We wasn't afraid of LeBron.
The temperature between LeBron James and Paul Pierce rose before the real games even started. In October 2004, on the Ohio State campus, a preseason night went sideways. LeBron caught a lane, hammered a dunk, and looked toward the Boston bench. Voices spiked. In the commotion, Pierce spat toward Cleveland's sideline. Teammates and staff pulled people apart in the tunnel. Fines followed. The box score meant nothing, but the moment stuck. For a 19-year-old star already carrying weight, that kind of slight files itself under motivation and stays there. From then on, their meetings felt heavier. By 2008, Boston's new core stood in Cleveland's path. The second round stretched to 7, and the finale at the Garden turned into a 2-man duel that still gets replayed every spring. Pierce poured in 41. LeBron put up 45. The Celtics survived by a couple of late plays, then won the title, and a picture of Pierce walking off with a grin, while LeBron stares through him tells you how personal it had become. On nights like that, respect and resentment live in the same space. 2 years later, Cleveland ran into Boston again. The series did not just end a season, it ended an era. Boston advanced. Soon after, LeBron chose Miami. No one needs to say that Pierce and the Celtics pushed the decision for it to be true in the background. You spend years hitting the same green wall in May, and eventually you look for a different door. The rivalry did not cool in South Beach. In 2012, the Celtics took a 3-2 lead in the conference finals. They were old, stubborn, and fearless. The next game at the Garden produced a picture that belongs beside the 2008 duel. LeBron's face set like glass while he stacked jumper after jumper, closing with a masterpiece that flipped the series. Miami advanced in 7. The handshake line felt less like a truce and more like a pause in a long argument. On the floor, the basketball explained why the edges never softened. Pierce took the assignment often, shouldering long stretches on LeBron and still expected to score on the other end. That double load ages anyone. He fought through screens, sat on LeBron's right shoulder, and tried to push drives into help. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes LeBron simply used strength to hold his spot, rose on balance, and hit from the nail. When Boston sent more bodies, LeBron moved the ball early and trusted shooters. When Boston stayed home, he went downhill and lived with the result. Over years, those choices stack into memory. Every blow by, every charge drawn, every contested pull-up feeds the ledger.
Legacy, and I've already said he's not a top 5 player of all time.
There was noise around the edges, and it mattered because the games gave the noise meaning. Pierce never minded being blunt on camera. When he poked debates about Dwayne Wade on television, Miami veterans answered on social media and on air. That kept the heat up, but it did not create the rivalry. The core lived in late possessions where Pierce jabbed, turned, and shot over a contest, or where LeBron lifted, paused, and drilled a mid-range answer that shut a building up for a breath. One played by craft and angles, one played by tilt and control. Both loved the stage enough to leave a mark. When you look back now, LeBron has outlasted almost everyone from that era. But Pierce stays vivid because the story runs clean from teenage LeBron to veteran LeBron with detours through the biggest rooms the sport offers. It is not nostalgia. It is the record. Years of collisions, a rivalry that demanded answers, and a name that never left his shoulder. From Boston's heavyweight to Washington's agitator, the next name is Deshaun Stevenson.
This Stevenson-LeBron smack talk has reached the nightclub scene.
Cleveland and Washington kept running into each other every spring, and Stevenson turned those series into theater. He called LeBron James overrated, then doubled down in front of cameras. LeBron's reply landed harder because it was a metaphor everyone understood. Responding to Stevenson would be like Jay-Z responding to Soulja Boy. One sentence framed the whole dynamic star versus irritant, headliner versus heckler, and it stuck. The beef had real basketball under it. In 2006, a young Cavaliers group met a Wizards team built around Gilbert Arenas, Anton Jamison, and Caron Butler. The games tilted on late possessions that LeBron kept seizing. There is the snapshot of him whispering to Arenas at the free throw line in Game 6, and then Cleveland stealing the night on a corner jumper moments later. That finish hardened feelings in Washington. The next year did not soothe them. By 2007, the roles were familiar. Stevenson's job was to live in LeBron's airspace and in his ear. He bodied catches, grabbed a shoulder on drives, and tested how tightly officials would call contact. Washington's bigs made the lane feel crowded and unfriendly. On offense, Stevenson spaced to the arc and looked for the timing three that can turn a crowd into a weapon. Cleveland absorbed it and advanced again. That is how grudges grow. You take real hits, you hear everything, and you still walk out of the building with the series. 2008 turned the feud into a soap opera. Soulja Boy showed up courtside in Washington, mugging for cameras in a custom tee. A Jay-Z blow-the-whistle freestyle surfaced in the city, a not subtle answer on LeBron's side of the ledger.
The lyrics had some negative comments about Deshaun Stevenson.
Reporters had quotes every day. The Wizards had no shortage of hard fouls. The Cavaliers had the best player in the matchup. Everything felt personal, and the gym sounded like it. Strip away the music, and you still see why LeBron kept this one close. Stevenson's approach forced decisions on every trip. Do you fight over that screen or switch it? Do you drive through a tug on the hip and risk a take foul, or pull up and trust your balance? Do you stare back when the talk gets blatant, or ignore it and move the game somewhere quieter? LeBron mostly chose the third option. He turned traps into slips, slips into short roll passes, and short rolls into corner threes. When Washington sent two to the ball early, he dragged the double a half step farther and hit the release valve. When they stayed home, he put a shoulder through the seam and finished. Let's talk about the defensive anchor of LeBron's early 2010s rivals, the Bulls. Here's why Bron and Joakim Noah never liked each other.
4 out of 8, and a conversation between LeBron and Joakim Noah.
James and Joakim Noah built a rivalry over several seasons. It started in the regular season and grew during multiple playoff series. The first flashpoint most fans remember came in 2009 in Cleveland. During a timeout, LeBron danced near the bench. Chicago did not like it. After the game, Noah called the dancing disrespectful. From that point, every meeting felt tense.
Walking a little bit closer to Noah.
Their styles clashed in obvious ways. Noah played at full speed on every possession. He talked constantly, pointed teammates into position, and tried to turn routine plays into physical battles. LeBron preferred control. He slowed the game when it helped his team and attacked fast when he saw an opening. When those approaches met, the games often got chippy. Cleveland and Chicago met in the playoffs in 2010. Cleveland was the top seed. Chicago was still developing. Noah tried to crowd the lane and challenge LeBron at the rim. He fought for rebounds and set hard screens to free his guards. LeBron attacked one side of the floor to create rotations and found open shooters when help arrived. Cleveland won the series. The exchange of words and stares did not stop. LeBron moved to Miami the next season. Noah commented on the Heat's image and called them Hollywood as hell. He meant they acted like a show instead of a team that had earned everything. Miami heard it. The 2011 Eastern Conference Finals turned the conversation back to the court. Chicago won Game 1. Miami adjusted. LeBron controlled fourth quarters with strong drives, mid-range jumpers, and passes to corner shooters. Miami won the next 4 games and the series. The teams ran it back in 2013. Chicago was missing key players, but Tom Thibodeau demanded the same effort and discipline. Noah battled foot issues and still played heavy minutes. He protected the paint, switched onto guards when needed, and kept the crowd involved with energy plays. LeBron pushed Miami's pace when he could and went to pick and roll when he needed a good shot. He brought Chicago's bigs into space, attacked their feet, and forced help. Miami advanced again.
Remember, this goes back. There's some history here.
LeBron returned to Cleveland in 2014. The next spring brought another Cleveland versus Chicago series. In Game 4 at the United Center, Cleveland needed a bucket at the horn. LeBron caught the ball on the wing, took one dribble, and banked in the winner. The camera found Noah right away. He looked frustrated, and it was obvious why. Chicago had played hard and had chances. LeBron decided the game on a single play. That moment fit the pattern of their rivalry. Noah's value in these matchups came from the things that do not show up as highlights. He arrived early on drives and gave his teammates time to help. He boxed out with force and created extra possessions. He tipped passes at the nail and bought his defense a second to reset. He did not need the ball to affect the game. He wanted to make every catch uncomfortable and every cut a little slower. LeBron's answer was simple and steady. He avoided long arguments. He did not try to win with one play every trip. He kept choosing the right action for the situation. If Chicago stayed home on shooters, he drove. If Chicago sent a second defender, he made the pass. If a smaller player switched onto him, he posted and shot over the top. Over a 7-game stretch, those choices added up. They traded technical fouls and hard fouls at times, but there was also respect. Coaches trusted Noah with the toughest defensive assignment because he never stopped working. Teammates fed off his energy. LeBron acknowledged Noah's competitiveness by treating every possession as serious. Neither player changed who he was to please the other. Next on the list, we have Lance Stephenson.
Indiana Pacers, including this.
The story starts in the first Miami era. In the spring of 2012, Indiana and Miami met in the second round. Lance Stephenson was a young reserve then. From the bench, he flashed a choke sign toward LeBron James after a missed free throw. He later apologized, but the moment stuck. It told everyone how he planned to compete. He would talk, he would needle, and he would test where the line was. By 2013, Stephenson had a larger role. Indiana's identity was built on size, defense, and a slow pace. The Pacers tried to make every possession feel heavy. Stephenson added pressure by picking up full court at times and by hanging on LeBron's hips in the half court. He chased over screens, bumped off ball cuts, and tried to turn catches into small wrestling matches. Miami answered by forcing switches, pulling Roy Hibbert away from the rim, and letting LeBron decide from the nail. The series went 7. Miami advanced. The Stephenson subplot did not go away, because Indiana saw that agitation could buy them mistakes and buy them belief. The peak of the rivalry came in 2014. The Eastern Conference Finals brought another Miami versus Indiana series. Stephenson had grown into a starter and a secondary playmaker. He still scored in bursts, but his main job was to make LeBron uncomfortable before the ball even arrived. He talked in warm-ups, in dead balls, and after whistles. He walked through Miami's huddles to bother conversations. He leaned close during free throws to crowd space that usually belongs to shooters. It was a steady stream of contact and words. Game 5 provided the image that people remember first. During a free throw, Stephenson leaned in and blew gently into LeBron's ear. Cameras caught it. The building reacted. The clip traveled everywhere. LeBron smiled and shook his head. Indiana won that night, which encouraged Stephenson to keep pressing. The tactic did not change the series.
I think when Lance Stephenson came and blew in your ear.
Miami finished the job in Game 6. The Heat trusted spacing and quick decisions. LeBron accepted fewer touches at times to let shooters find rhythm, then attacked in the fourth quarter when the defense softened. Stephenson's work rarely changed LeBron's approach for more than a trip or two. The reason the chapter endures is that Stephenson kept showing up with the same plan. He tried to live in the seconds between plays. He chased matchups after switches and tried to force scrambles. He made simple inbounds passes take longer. He pulled on jerseys where officials would not see it. He wanted attention, and he got it. Sometimes the attention helped his team. Sometimes it backfired with fouls or with Miami using his aggression against him by slipping screens and cutting behind his overplays. From LeBron's side, the answer stayed consistent. He did not give long speeches. He looked at the bench and laughed when lines were crossed. He used the screen to draw a different defender. He posted when Stephenson fronted, then sealed for an easy catch. He drove on the first step when Indiana's help was late. He moved the ball when the trap arrived early. It was a set of basic choices repeated over and over until the math tilted. There was still room for respect after the noise. Stephenson was fearless. He took on a difficult job and never hid from it. He helped the Pacers push Miami deeper than most teams could. The history is simple to trace. A choke sign in 2012, a 7-game series in 2013, ear-blowing and huddle creeping in 2014. Through all of it, Stephenson tried to turn the matchup into theater. LeBron kept turning it back into basketball, then into wins. Here's a player similar to Lance, however, many would tell you a lot less likable. Here's the beef between LeBron and Dillon Brooks.
Dillon Brooks embracing the villainous role, saying,
The first round in spring of 2023 matched Memphis with the Lakers. Dillon Brooks immediately targeted LeBron James. After a Grizzlies win, he said he pokes bears, said he does not respect anyone until they give him 40, and called LeBron old. Those lines framed every game that followed. LeBron declined to trade jabs. His answers came in actions. He posted early to test strength, drove right to force help, and kicked to shooters when a second defender arrived. When Memphis stayed home, he finished at the rim. When they helped, he moved the ball on time. The goals were simple possessions, not a headline.
He said that LeBron James is old and that he won't respect him.
Game 3 in Los Angeles was the turning point. Early in the second half, Brooks reached across LeBron on a drive and struck him below the belt. Officials upgraded the foul to a flagrant 2 and ejected Brooks. The Lakers won and went up 2-1. From that moment, the series tilted. Memphis tried to crowd the paint and short close out to shooters. Brooks chased over screens, fronted the post, grabbed at the gather, and tried to pull the matchup into a wrestling match. He took quick threes to swing energy. He shadowed LeBron in dead balls and talked throughout. It produced choppy stretches, but not control. LeBron adjusted to each coverage. If Brooks fronted, he sealed for a lob entry. If Brooks pressed high, LeBron slipped to the mid-post and faced up. If a bigger help defender showed early, LeBron hit the short roll and spaced to the corner for the return. In transition, he pushed off defensive rebounds and attacked before Memphis could load the lane. When the Lakers needed calm late, he called for a screen to force a smaller switch and scored from the nail. The Lakers closed the set in 6-4-2. LeBron's production tracked the plan: efficient finishing, strong rebounding to start breaks, and timely passes that punished overhelp. Brooks kept the volume high, but the outcomes of the last quarters came from half-court decisions LeBron controlled. After the series, Brooks stuck to his stance and moved to Houston that summer. The matchup followed when the Rockets faced the Lakers in 2024. The pattern repeated. Brooks talked and defended physically. LeBron attacked the post, forced switches with ball screens, and found corner shooters when help pinched in. Anytime the game slowed, he went back to the mid-post, used one strong dribble, and rose over the contest. What mattered most were the specific sequences that broke Memphis's shape. Early seals that drew fouls, cross-court skip passes that turned a dig into an open three, quick push-ahead passes after long rebounds that created layups before Brooks could get set, empty side pick-and-rolls that removed weak-side help entirely. Those choices took the series out of the conversation Brooks was trying to start. End result in 2023, the Lakers advanced, and the noise faded behind the scoreboard. We're finishing the list off with LeBron's most surprising rival, Jason Terry.
Takes it away. Chalmers. Cole.
In 2011, Terry helped the Mavericks beat Miami in the finals. He hit timely threes and did not back down. That stuck with LeBron James. When Terry later joined the Celtics, the talk carried over and the matchups had extra bite. The most known play happened in March of 2013 in Boston. Miami was in the middle of a 23-game win streak. In the second quarter, the Heat forced a turnover and pushed. Norris Cole lobbed to LeBron, who elevated and finished over Terry near the rim. The building froze for a second. LeBron said later that the play meant more because it happened over JT. That comment matched years of back and forth. The games around that moment explain the edge. Terry kept talking and kept shooting. He chased LeBron through screens, tried to take charges in the lane, and looked for pull-up threes to swing a quarter. LeBron answered by moving him into switches and going straight to the mid-post. If Terry stayed in front, LeBron rose and shot over him. If Boston sent help, LeBron kicked to corner shooters. The actions were simple and direct. There were other small scenes. Terry hit a late three in 2013 to steal a regular season game. He jawed after makes and tried to meet LeBron higher on the catch. The next trip, LeBron hunted him in pick and roll and got to the rim. That was the pattern. Terry tested him. LeBron went right at the pressure point on the floor. The reason this rivalry held attention is clear. It had a finals loss that bothered LeBron, a poster that became a highlight for a decade, and countless possessions where both players tried to win the same square of court. No speeches were needed. The plays said enough. If you want more deep dives like this, subscribe, share the video, and drop the next idea you want covered in the comments.